Welcome to GameRomp Easy Mode, the chill, easygoing podcast where we talk about video games. I'm one of your hosts, Deanna,
And I'm the other one, David. I'm here too.
What would you like to talk about this week?
I don't know. I don't feel like we did too much. I've been playing Terranigma a bit, and I know you sat with me a couple times to...
Just to see how it's going.
Yeah. I also played through... Actually, should I talk a little bit about Terranigma?
I mean, it's a podcast of what we played lately, so I guess that would make sense.
So Terranigma is a game by Quintet. I think last week's episode I forgot. I was like, is it NX? NX published it. Quintet made it. They also made Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia. This one is very... Well, I kind of want to say it's very different from the other two, but it shares some similarities. All of these games take place like on real Earth, right? But in this one, you're kind of like...
Sort of, kind of on Earth. Well, sorry, you explain it.
I mean, it is just Earth as a Super Nintendo game can show it, right?
Yeah, but... Okay, I guess I have to interject a little bit. You go to Earth, and you're like reforming it, but you're also like on a different plane of existence or something?
Yeah, you start off on something else. And I'm not really clear what that other place is. My guess, and I can only guess this because of how it looks with the Mode 7, is like they are inside the planet, and then like they help the land masses come back, and then he goes out to like... you first start down in the Amazon and have to like save the plants, and the plants come back. You see like a cutscene of the green going everywhere. And then later on, they're like, oh, can you go over here with the bird nation or something? It's not the bird nation, but they're basically like the kingdom of birds or something. So you have to go help the birds. And then like you bring back birds to life in the world. So you're like recreating the Earth and then repopulating it, I guess. And now
your character is also named Ark. So could you almost argue this other plane of existence is like supposed to be heaven or something?
It didn't look like heaven.
Well, no, I guess not. It's very rocky. But
and
it's
lava.
Like... Okay, fine. I guess it is the middle of the Earth. But it's just like... Your character's name is Ark if you go with default. Can you change it?
Yeah.
Okay. But the default is Ark. You're going around, you go to these different towers, you collect the continents.
Yeah.
Then you go onto the Earth. And that's where you start saving the plants, the flora.
Yeah.
Then you go and save the birds or part of the fauna. And then after that, you go to the safari in Africa to save those animals. So it's like, yeah, it does seem like a very, possibly a Japanese reinterpretation of like the Bible story.
I mean, maybe.
That's almost how I'm seeing it, because it's like your character's name is Ark. Then you go and save the planet, and you're gathering the creatures and the fauna and all this stuff. It just, I don't know. For that, to me, it seems like it's reinterpreting the story. Maybe that's me reinterpreting it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to keep playing and seeing, because it feels like something happened to the world that caused it to go that way. So it's not like they're coming back from, like, he isn't creating them out of nothing. It's not like the creation story. It's more like something happened and now we're fixing it, but I don't really fully know yet. So I guess we'll see. I'll keep playing it.
Probably some all-powerful asshole kind of just like, I don't like this, let's start over.
Or humanity did something. I'm going to guess like humans are going to be the last thing we save, and then there's going to be another plot about like some humans that screwed up the world somehow. But I guess we'll see.
Nuclear winter.
I mean, maybe. It felt very apocalyptic when you first get to Earth. Just like dusty, barren, windswept. It has a really cool vibe.
But also, like, the continents were you recreating the continents or just moving them back or something? Because that's the first part of the game where you go to the towers and all the land is reforming, right?
Yeah. I forget if after you do the towers, if it says something along the lines of like, on this day, Eurasia was... I forget if it says Eurasia was born or resurrected. It might have been resurrected. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Guess we'll see. I'll keep playing. It's hard because I'm not really sure how I feel about the gameplay. Like, I really like Soul Blazer. I beat Soul Blazer. I never beat Illusion of Gaia, but I got pretty far. Illusion of Gaia was really good, by the way. But that had a lot of stories about people and like the emotional journeys of him and his friends, you know, going around the world and on this adventure. Some really good stuff too. And they're like, for people that played Illusion of Gaia, like remembering that point where, was it like the Great Wall of China? And you know what? I'm not going to say any more about it, but Illusion of Gaia is really good too. Maybe I'll talk about that one day, not today. But in this game, since there isn't a lot of like characters, there's no driving story that makes me want to like, ooh, I want to see what happens next. It's more like, I guess I'll go save the animals and see what happens. Because I saved the birds and like, okay, now I fly around with the birds, but it's not super interesting. On top of that, like the combat itself, like somehow feels less good to me than the other two games did.
There doesn't seem to be many options for the combat. It's very pick one attack or the other and that's about it.
He has like a few moves you can do, but it kind of feels like the original Legend of Zelda for the NES.
Whereas, the only 4 directions thing?
Yeah. He attacks in a very straight line. So if something is like southwest of you, you kind of have to line yourself either directly above or directly to the right or left of it. And it doesn't feel as good as some of the other games like Secret of Mana or Link to the Past, where they have more wide sweeping attacks.
Yeah, you did seem to be having issues with the birds because you're stuck to the 4 cardinal directions, but the birds are swooping at you in like an upper or lower arc.
Yeah.
And it just does not match up.
It was kind of a pain. There's also a magic system that I don't quite understand. I think you get like these rocks and then you can turn them into spells, but it feels like they're one-time use spells, so I don't feel incentivized to use them, or like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to I might look up a guide and be like, just to figure out what's the deal with the magic system.
Are you gonna end up like with 50 available magic attacks for the last boss and only use like 10 of them at most?
I don't know. I've used a few, but they've always just fizzled and done nothing. And it's like, well, I just wasted this finite resource because I can't refill. I don't know how many of those magic rocks there are in the game, but like once you use one, I'm assuming unless there's somewhere where there's like an infinite supply of them where you could restock. So far, it seems like they are a finite resource in the world. So it feels bad when you shoot a fireball knowing that's it. You're never getting that back again.
That's unfortunate.
But anyway, yeah, the gameplay wise, so far it's been kind of hit or miss. I mean, a lot of the other Quintet games are kind of that way, I guess, sometimes, but
these are also very old games.
It's weird to me because, like, in Soul Blazer, the first Super Nintendo RPG of this trilogy, I guess, that little dude had a sword, and his sword swung in a nice arc. Whereas Ark himself, the character in this game, he just, like, pokes straight, and it just doesn't feel quite as good. But I don't know. I'm going to keep playing it because I want to know what all the hubbub is about. I'm already farther than I ever was before, so might as well keep going.
Yeah, there does seem to be a few, I guess, YouTube videos if you want. I don't know, maybe there's articles, but it doesn't seem like people really write articles anymore.
They do, we just don't read them.
That's fair. But a few of the YouTube title screens or whatever was like, oh, the best RPG ever or something. At least I think I saw one that said vaguely that. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't actually play RPGs, so fair. I can't have any say in how that works, but I'm guessing it's not one of the top ones, or not even for the NES or Super NES.
Some people they hold it in high regard, but like it's one of those things where like it just might get way better later. It could have a slow start. A lot of games do, honestly.
Do you think it's almost, I don't know, do you have a preference for whether an RPG's story is good? Maybe not initially from the get-go, because that might be a little bit hard to do. But where it's like sustained throughout the game versus an RPG that's like, oh, you got to get through all this bullshit first, and then at the end it gets really good?
I feel like there was a game I recently played that I would even consider that. Like, okay, Genshin Impact, for example, is kind of that. It starts off pretty slow. But like later on, some of the later stories are really good. But a lot of the classic RPGs of the olden days, like, they didn't have a lot of time to do that. So, like, some of the best games do start off really good. Like, Final Fantasy VI starts off when you're, like, in these robots and marching into town and, like, just destroying these innocent people. And it's like, whoa, what is going on? And then it's like, oh, you were playing the bad guys. And, like, all this stuff just happens so fast. Or, like, Secret of Mana, where you immediately find that sword and you're, like, banished. And, like, it does feel a little slow at first, but it's still, like, interesting and like, whoa, I want to see what's happening. And Chrono Trigger's another good example where, like, you start off with the fair and immediately somebody gets sucked back in time and you're like, I guess I gotta go back there too. And that's kind of interesting, but like, it really, really starts getting crazy, like, after you come back from then. And like, you have to go through the trial and then what happens after that. And it's like, yeah, a lot of these games will, like, they progress and progress and progress, but they'll still have really interesting beginnings too. Terra Enigma had kind of an interesting beginning with, like, that other world because it's so different. You're in this little town and it's so peaceful and it's got some great music with, like, I guess wood chimes in the background. It just sounds so nice. And then, like, it's like, oh, by the way, you opened up this bad thing and now everyone's fucked.
Oh yeah, Pandora's box, basically.
So can you go outside of the village? And it's like, wait, we can go outside of the village? And then you go out there and it's nothing like you would expect. Because you're in this beautiful little green village. And when you leave the village, it's just like, it doesn't even look like Earth. Not only is the curvature of the world inverted, so it feels like you're on the inside of a planet. There's some weird thing in the sky that it's hard to tell what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like this weird ceiling aspect.
I'm just going to assume it's like the core of the planet, maybe. And then, like, it's just rocky and gray, except with, like, blue crystals everywhere and magma and lava everywhere. It's so striking and weird. But it kind of fumbles it too, because it's like, okay, now go into these 5 dungeons all in a row. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like the dungeons kind of overstayed their welcome a bit, but maybe that's just because I'd wanted to see what happened next. So, like, okay, I finished dungeon 1 and then I finished dungeon 2 and then I finished dungeon 3 and oh god, I got to do dungeon 4 and then it felt like a bit much.
I mean, I guess I understand having to go through 5 of the towers or dungeons, whatever you want to call them. But even while I was just sitting with you for a little bit, you got through dungeon 1 in like 10, 15 minutes max.
Yeah, and that was
really quick.
That was the easy one.
I guess
they got slower and harder after that. But then, like, okay, then you go down to the earth and it's barren, so you have to go through a dungeon to, like, fix things. I guess one thing I really like about some of the other RPGs is there's a lot of downtime in towns and exploring where it's not just dungeons. I guess this kind of feels like a dungeon crawler more than anything, with some light overworld elements, but I don't know. I don't want to shit talk it too much. I'm still pretty early on in it. I think I'm at 3 hours at most.
Oh, yeah, that's not long at all for an RPG.
Yeah, I haven't really been... That's the thing, like, I want to play it, and at the same time, sometimes I think about, should I go play it? I was like, I just don't... I don't feel the drive yet, so I kind of been forcing myself a little bit. Which, I don't know, is probably not a great sign for the beginning of the game, but again, there could be a point later on where it's like, oh my god, I need to keep playing. Because that does happen with other games. Like,
that's fair.
So, yeah, I'll keep playing it and report back, I guess. Maybe just assume I'm going to be spoiling Terra Enigma, so feel free to play ahead if you're that curious. I've been playing it because, like, another podcast that I really like is going to be playing it and then discussing everything. And
they'll probably get more into this discussion than we ever will.
Yeah, which I want to, like, know the context and stuff when they get through it.
Yeah, they go more into, like, the history of the game and the making and stuff.
Yeah, and try to pick out, like, symbolism and, like, religious stuff that's, like, scattered through here and there. Because, like, Japan fucking loves just taking Christianity and being like, this is a cool, weird religion. Let's play with it.
Fuck around with it.
Kind of like how we do with, like, Greek mythology or whatever. So that's always fun to experience.
Actually, it will be interesting when we listen to their episode, just out of curiosity to see if either of them has a similar interpretation of how I'm seeing this, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it seems kind of like too on the nose, but it could just be that, like, Noah's Ark, he's bringing back all the animals. We're not doing it 2 by 2 or whatever, but maybe he's like reborn Noah or something, or maybe later on we find an arc that we have to deal with or something. We'll see.
Arc fights the arc. Ah.
Some of my like favorite gaming moments as a kid were games that are like played on Christianity, because I grew up, without getting too much into it, obviously, I grew up in a pretty Christian household and like knew all the stories and was scared out of my mind of Satan, that he was going to get us or whatever.
Poor you.
So then seeing them in media, because like when you grow up, you don't really see Christianity in media too much. You'll see like people in TV shows or movies, they'll go to church and pray, like in Home Alone, right? But like in cartoons or in kids media, they kind of try to stay away from that unless you're
specifically watching Christian.
Yeah, like VeggieTales or something.
Yeah.
So when I'm sitting there playing a video game and like there's this just Christian imagery and like, oh, this is a church, they're talking about God and stuff, like in Final Fantasy Tactics or Xenogears, like it was so interesting and like thrilling, like, whoa, what are they saying about this stuff? Like, how are they reinterpreting this? Like, I don't know. It's just, as a teenager, it's like so cool to me. And I mean, it still is. And like when people, again, because the Japanese will like look at this religion that they don't really experience and be like, oh, we're going to play with that story. It's kind of like taking this familiar story and just remixing it or reinterpreting it and making you think different ways of it in a fun way, I guess.
I almost wonder if I had played those games as a kid, because all the games that I did play, I don't think they had any mention of religious stuff in them.
Yeah.
But I also didn't grow up religious. I only had the like cultural aspect of that, you know, anyone who is brought up in America would have the vague idea of what some of the Christian stuff is, but obviously I never delved deep into it. I like the first time I quote unquote went to church, and it was like only walking inside the building, not even actually going to a sermon or something. I was like, I don't know, probably like 11 or 12. If I had played those games, would I have gotten any deeper than surface level understanding compared to you who grew up in a much more Christian atmosphere and you would have gotten more from it? You're just wondering what the difference of like, oh, this is how I see and this is how I understood it. And then someone who's brought up more with it is like, yeah, I get even more deeper meaning from this. Or
it depends on the game too. I mean, because like, for example, Final Fantasy Tactics, you get a lot of like churchy stuff and like, oh, this is clearly the Catholic Church and they got their own pope and stuff, but they aren't using any Christian names or anything like that. Whereas then you play something like Xenogears and they'll have specific names and stuff straight out of like scripture in there. So even as a kid, like there's stuff that would go over my head. You got to remember, like these are adult nerds just nerding out on theology and all this religious stories versus, you know, a teenager who just has like a surface like understanding of it. So yeah, you're gonna miss stuff anyways. Anyway, what about you? I have one other thing I can talk about, but let's take a break from me talking for a bit.
Okay. I'm not really sure how much I have to talk about, because mostly the only thing I've vaguely played this week was more Dicey Dungeons.
Oh, jeez.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. You were always teasing me like, oh, look at you playing the same game for 3-4 weeks in a row.
Oh, I suppose so. But it's just like, I don't know. I've been trying to do other things, and then after like YouTube and cuddles, I kind of don't feel like getting deep into a game. So Dicey Dungeons is just, it's weird. Again, I think I've said this before, but I have a love-hate relationship with this game because it's probably a mix of me just being bad at the game, but also a mix of just pure dumb luck. And I guess I just have really bad luck, especially with the freaking thief character or thief dice. God, I've played the thief second and third episode. I can't even, it's got to be like more than 15, maybe 20 times. And I just cannot beat those 2 episodes. And I don't know why. But I can go, and the last couple of days I've played, I actually think I completed or only have 1 episode left of the robot dice. And I went through, and I've played them multiple times too, but not nearly as much as the Thief, because the Thief is quote-unquote supposed to be easier. But I went through and beat 2 of the episodes, one after the other, pretty quickly for the robot. And this is supposed to be a harder character than the Thief, but I just cannot get past the Thief ones. So I played the robot, I beat 2 of the bosses, it was surprisingly easy. Or at least it felt like it was easier. But I also like it because if I do screw up and I lose, it's just a very quick game. Like, I don't know, I have that thing about like restarting games a lot. So this kind of like trigger or scratches that itch. Because like, oh, I failed. Well, I'll just restart and it's only been like 5-10 minutes. Sometimes I've lost on the first level, which is kind of ridiculous, but I guess it happens. Other times I'll play for longer and get to maybe the 3rd or 4th level. And it's like, oh, I put in that time. But the restarting is just appealing to me, I guess, for some reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that like play off of that.
Yeah, Loop Hero was another one that was good for that.
There's so many. Like, I mean, even like Vampire Survivors and those kind of games too.
True. And even Vampire Survivors was quote unquote even better because there's literally a 30-minute lock on it. You can't play longer than 30 minutes. Once that timer is up, death comes for you and kills you.
Apparently, some people can kill death. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I survived a little bit, and I don't know. I guess it would be possible, and it would be interesting to see what happens after that, but I would have to actually watch someone else do that.
Yeah, all the other ones I've played, they have timers on them too, but it's just like, you won the run, and then it's over. You're just like, yeah, you won. Good enough. Good job. It's not just death killing you.
But I suppose if you could beat death, then that's another objective to work towards. Because I guess you could kind of see that it's possible, because, again, I've played a couple of times where he doesn't just come in and one-hit you, necessarily. I suppose that's possible. But another time, I probably lasted an extra minute, somehow. So I guess it, like, gives you the idea of, like, wait a minute, he didn't kill me instantly. I actually kept him off for a little while. Maybe I could get further with that. So, let's see. So I did at least 2 stages of Robot. Maybe I have 1. Maybe I finished it. I don't remember. Then I did a run with the Witch. And everyone's different abilities are just interesting of how you have to work with them. And the Robot was fun. The Robot was like almost a casino play to me in the sense that... Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we have discussed this exact thing. So you know what I'm going to ask you instead?
Okay.
Why don't you try finding some more roguelike games like this, where it is all about restarting? I mean,
that's fair.
We have some in our library, whether it be your Steam or our Epic. Well, if you've been keeping up with your Epic, I don't know.
Vaguely, but I'm not sure if I have those games or not. Do we have... Well, yeah, actually, there are other card games that we have, I know.
There's that dice game that Epic gave out during Christmas with the cool little looking animals. You might want to try that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot.
It is, again, exactly that kind of thing, where it's like, each run is going to be... I didn't time it, but like probably half hour at most. Maybe an hour at most. So yeah, I'd say give that one a try, at least. I know I have a few more in my library. I don't know what your Steam library or Epic library... we can't share our Epic library, unfortunately. But,
no, but I can just log into your account.
Yeah.
Do we have the... What was the... Slay the Spire? Do we have that?
I don't own it. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Because I know you talked about that, but you said you didn't like the graphics.
Yeah, it's just visually unappealing to me. But again, that's one of my shallow things. But then there's like there's a few more that are out there. Like I know the Yogscast games. They just put out 2 games that are basically that kind of thing. It's like, oh, there's one where it's like you're building a town and they have to survive, and it's kind of like a deck builder, because every time you survive a day, you get to choose like a few different upgrades or buildings or units that you can place down.
Oh, you tried was it Monster Train? Is that also another one that's similar?
Yes, that's another one where it's like...
I guess it's like dice and or card games.
Yeah, Monster Train is really good. I really like Monster Train.
Oh, there's also that space one, I think.
Space?
And it like... it's a story game, I guess, but you use dice and I think I played that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, and you're like controlling a crew, and sometimes it's like, oh, something is wrong in this sector. You have to use dice and your crew to go fix it or whatever.
Yeah, I think I played a little bit of that. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll try and keep up with that. And I'm sure at some point I'll probably delve back into The Long Dark. Because now that I am playing as the lady in The Long Dark, I guess I am kind of curious where her story is going to go. Because it's all the mystery of, what does she have in this package? Why does she have to be so secretive of helping people? Blah, blah, blah.
I didn't even realize you were playing as her now.
Yeah, apparently when you start episode 3, you start as her. So now I get to see her side of the story.
Like, why did she just run off without... I mean, I guess they got separated in the crash, but...
I feel
it still feels weird to be like, oh, well, whatever, fuck him, I'm running off.
Yeah, it was awkward to say the least. It doesn't really make much sense to me at the moment. We'll see if the story gets it better as I go further in. But yeah, it's weird. But the survival aspect is a lot easier than the actual survival side of the game. So
yeah, I guess it's balanced around like being finishable so you could see the story.
Yeah, they're not going to completely destroy you. So
all right, cool. I guess we'll see what you end up playing next. Maybe I'll have to push you to be like, hey, put down Dicey Dungeons.
No, but I want to play. I need to figure out why this Lady Luck is actually the devil.
I doubt it's ever going to tell you anything about that.
Well, apparently you do have to fight her at some point, so I kind of look forward to it. I guess I am a sucker for punishment, and I'm putting myself through my own little hell.
Okay, well...
Your turn again.
I have 2 quick things I can talk about. One of the... I guess I'll leave the YouTube thing towards the end, but I did play through Mega Man 3 again. Every so often, I guess I just get an urge to play through the Mega Man games, so I played through 4, a ROM hack of 4, and now I played through 3. Maybe I'll stop there.
Was I watching you play 3, or was that the ROM hack?
I was playing 3, because I wanted to show... Well, I wanted to experience it again, I guess, is the way to say it, because, like, a lot of people don't like that 3 has the Doc Robo stages, where you have to, like, oh, you're in Shadow Man stage again, except this time you're fighting the Doc Robo twice. And, like, one time it's Wood Man, the other time it's Heat Man.
Oh, is that when they, like, slowly...
Yeah.
That was kind of silly.
and they can be really hard, especially Quick Man. Like, Jesus, Quick Man without Flash Man to help you, it's so hard. And unlike in Mega Man 2, where Quick Man will take a few things of damage per buster shot, in this one, if you just shoot him, it just does 1. So he's like basically twice the life.
I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. He's like basically the Flash, right?
It's so annoying. Apparently, some people say he's easier to defeat with Snake Man's weapon. I used Shadow Man's weapon, and then even then I had to use like an energy tank. I was just like, I'm tired of this guy. But I guess the main reason, besides just experiencing that again and seeing how annoying it was, I wanted to go through Wily's Castle again, because in Mega Man 2, like, the Wily Castle stages, well, at least the first one, has, like, this really good upbeat music. It's so cool. I mean, everyone knows that song. Well, anyone our age.
I'm sure if I heard it.
Video game music. Oh, interesting. Yeah, if I had to, like, make you pick out, like, which one is Dr. Wily's theme, maybe you couldn't. I don't know. But Dr. Wily's theme from Mega Man 2 is really good. But in Mega Man 3, his castle themes are way more, like, sad, I guess. It's almost depressing. There's just a shift in the mood. It's almost as if Mega Man is just like, I'm so tired of doing this.
Poor Mega Man.
And I kind of wanted to experience that again, just to feel that. Like, when you're playing these games, especially old games, the music helps convey so much of the emotion you feel.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get in that headspace again of, like, going through the castles and feeling what it feels like, hearing that music. And
now, you seem to take that as Mega Man seems kind of sad that he has to go through this shit again? Or is it just, like, the overall feeling of Dr. Wily is like, why do you keep doing this? You keep losing.
I don't know if I would... I always viewed it as Mega Man, just being, like, I don't know, if not depressed. It's just a somber mood. Like, this is my life now. This sucks. But I don't know. That's just the feeling I get when I hear that music. And he's like, because in the first stage, you basically have to break into his castle and like sneak through the sewers. And it's just like, man, this sucks. Maybe I'll ask you to play a bit of that music this time. So yeah, played through that, got to the end, and just like in my mind, I was comparing it to Mega Man 2, because I know I had a while back gone on a bit of a rant about like, I don't think Mega Man 2 is the best one. And a lot of people was always like between Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3. But then I played through Mega Man 3 and like there's a lot in this one that I also think isn't like super good. As I'm saying this, it's not like they're bad games, because they're not. They're amazing. They're just, it gets to the point where you're comparing two amazing games and you have to like, which one's
somehow the worst.
Yeah, which one is better than the other when they're both so good.
It's like trying to pick a favorite child. I don't want to do that. They're both good in their own ways.
Yeah. So going through that and like analyzing in my mind, like, oh, this part sucks. Like the Yellow Devil fight is terrible. The Yellow Devil fight in Mega Man 1 is also terrible, but at least you can like glitch it.
Now, why is the Yellow Devil terrible?
In Mega Man 3, there's a move it does. Most of the time when you fight the Yellow Devil, he'll do the little thing where he breaks apart chunk by chunk, and it flies across the screen and you have to jump over it.
Yep.
In Mega Man 3, they added a new move where he like groups up his chunks into columns, and then they bounce across the screen as one. So you have to avoid like 5 different little chunks instead of like, I don't know how many, 28, 30, whatever blocks he usually does.
Now that sounds like it would be moving faster then.
Yeah, but the hitboxes are so bad. Notoriously bad. There's ROM hacks out there to fix that, but if you're playing the original, you're not really going to be avoiding that attack, even though it looks like you should. It's pretty bad. Random
question. Do you know if anyone's analyzed what the actual hitboxes look like? Because now I'm curious, because hitboxes should be like, well, granted, I would be using Game Maker. I don't know what they did back in the day, but it seems like it should be pretty easy. It's usually squares or rectangles.
Yeah, programming games back in the day, no, I don't think you can just turn on a mode where you see the hitbox lines. But anyway, aside from him, all the other bosses in Wily's Castle were pretty easy. In fact, I'd say Wily Castle in Mega Man 3 is actually pretty easy on the whole. I can't remember anything that was too hard. Even Wily himself, like, the first time he comes out in the crab machine, you just shoot him with Spark. And then you have to shoot him up above, so just like jump on Rush and fly up there and shoot. It's really easy. Then the final boss, like, you have to use Topspin, and I hate Topspin as a weapon. I'm sure most people do, but...
Oh yeah, you kept saying you didn't like it. And why is that? How does Topspin work?
Oh boy. Okay, so unlike a lot of the other weapons that Mega Man gets, he usually like creates a projectile or something. Mm-hmm. He'll shoot something out or make a shield or whatever the case. Topspin, when you use it, and you can only use it when you're jumping, he'll spin. He'll do like a little ballerina spin in the air.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if you touch an enemy with that, they'll take damage. But it's really awkward because after you're done spinning, you're still at the enemy. So you're just gonna, if you haven't killed it in one shot, you're probably just gonna take damage from colliding with the enemy.
Yeah, that's probably not a great design.
And the energy use is very inconsistent. Like, Shadow Man's weakness is Topspin. He jumps around 3 times and then he shoots out his shurikens. Or he does a little slide. You have to jump into him as he's jumping, and like, he's a very agile little dude, so it's not that easy. Then you have to hit him with the Topspin. But it's really inconsistent with how much energy it takes away. Not only from him, but like from your weapon energy. Sometimes you can only get like 2 Topspins in, and like it just completely drains your energy. Sometimes you'll beat Shadow Man and you'll still have like 2/3 of your energy left.
What the fuck?
It's really weird. So
they just randomized it?
It happened to me twice on this playthrough where I was fighting Shadow Man, going into the boss fight with full energy, getting off like 2 Topspin attacks on him, and my energy's all gone. So then I had to switch back to the Buster.
Man, I wonder what the code looks like for that, just out of like pure dumb curiosity.
Yeah, me too. Apparently Mega Man 3 was kind of rushed, so it's not too surprising there are little issues like this. I feel like starting with Mega Man 4 and onward, stuff like that just doesn't happen anymore.
They actually let them have time to develop a game correctly.
Yeah, there isn't any like egregious bugs that just stand out to my mind for any of those. I'm trying to think, and I really can't imagine any that I would mention. There is an annoying weapon like Topspin that returns later. In Mega Man 5, the weapon you get from Charge Man is like this slide attack thing, which is, again, annoying because like you'll use it, damage the enemy, but because you're physically sliding into them, you're usually going to take damage after it's done by colliding with them.
Does it count as like a suicide attempt or something? Like, I'll take you, but also take myself down.
Yeah, it's not great, but... I'm
going to kick your ass and I'm going to kick my own ass.
It's also like, the enemy you're using that against is the enemy you get that from is the train guy, Charge Man. And it's like, couldn't we just have gotten a different attack from him? Like in Mega Man 3, Top Man, you get the top spin, but it would have been kind of nice if like we just got his top attack. Because like when you fight him, he throws out 3 tops in the air. They do a little spinny thing and then they come at you.
Yeah, instead of turning Mega Man into the top, just let him do was it Beyblades?
It would have been cool if you just got that attack where you shoot at the little top, it spins around, and then it flies at the enemy.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, but instead we got the top spin, which... I don't know. I don't like. I was watching somebody playing through a ROM hack of Mega Man 3, and they were just loving using top spin against all the regular enemies. And it looked fun. Like, oh, yeah, when you're using them against regular enemies that just instantly die from it, it is kind of fun. You're just basically like Mario crashing into things and killing them. So I can see where the design idea was going. It just was not implemented super well in the original. Or maybe it was in the original and I never really used it too much against regular enemies because it's kind of annoying to use. I don't know, maybe I should try that.
Do you think there's a ROM hack where someone actually implemented, if you will, the correct attack for Top Man?
I don't know, maybe.
That would be interesting. Like, hey, this is basically the original game. All I changed was how Top Man and maybe another, say, Crash Man or something. I
would be interested in knowing if there's a ROM hack like that, because the one I played for Mega Man 4, which was called Voyage, Mega Man 4 Voyage, blue version. Apparently there was a version before that, but whatever. They did that interesting thing where it's like, oh, some of these weapons were kind of weird, or we just want the weapon to do something different. So like Ring Man, I've talked about this before, but Ring Man, instead of like being a boomerang, it was like a little ring attack around Mega Man. So if somebody did that with Mega Man 3 and changed some of the weapons, because a lot of them suck, I'm going to be honest with you, and just changed the way they worked, like maybe make Hard Man's knuckle thing. It's okay, but when Hard Man uses them, they shoot out, stop, and then track the enemy and shoot back. So if something like that with Hard Knuckle, that would be really cool. Or Gemini Laser. Gemini Laser in the original is so bad. It's so slow, you can only have one on the screen at a time, and because it's bouncing around the screen, sometimes you're just like running around like without being able to shoot anything because your laser is just bouncing around uselessly. So changing that would also be really cool. Changing Top Man's attack.
Maybe you should make a list of the ones that you personally would want to change in the various Mega Man games and see if those happened.
Changing Sparkman or changing Shadow Man's attack would be cool too, because when Shadow Man uses his shurikens, he throws 2 at a time, one forward and one in an upward trajectory. But when you use it, you kind of just shoot one, but you can aim it a little bit. It's kind of like Metal Blade, except not all the way across the screen. So it'd be cool to experience Shadow Man's weapon the way he uses it. So yeah, if any game would benefit from having a cool ROM hack like that, Mega Man 3 definitely would be it. Maybe even change up the way Doc Robo fights happen. Or change the robots you fight in the Doc Robo stages. That would be cool too. Anyway, I know making ROM hacks ain't easy, so... But now I kind of do want to see what Mega Man 3 ROM hacks there are out there. So...
Well, I guess we'll have to explore those.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that and report back. Okay, I do have one more thing I want to talk about.
That's fair, because I don't have anything.
This one's kind of silly, but... It's also kind of a reminder for people that, like, if you have ideas, creative ideas you want to explore and create, you should just do it. Because one of the things I've been doing lately is I like to fall asleep or get in, like, a sleepy mood by throwing on some YouTube videos that are kind of, like, quiet and chill. Kind of like how I want the vibe for this podcast to be, where it's like, You can listen through it all the way, but if like you fall asleep during it, I'm not going to be sad because that's great too. That's such a nice thing to be able to do. One of these YouTubers I found was I don't remember his name, but he was making like these playing like these not ROM hacks, mods or mod packs of like horror Minecraft, right? Mm-hmm. But he had like such a quiet vibe to him, like he wasn't shouting too much.
Yeah.
Because some YouTubers they're gonna play it up and like, I'm playing a scary game, time to scream like for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah, that usually I think tends to work on the younger audiences.
So this guy wasn't like that, and he's just playing this Minecraft mod, and like it has such a chill vibe, a little bit spooky vibe, and it's Minecraft, so I mean, how spooky can you get? But like the way he edits the videos too is so good. So I'll have to.
We'll put it down in the description.
Yeah. But because of that, YouTube has also recommended other Minecraft videos like that. And I've also listened to another dude called Basement Brothers. I know I showed you the video he made of Princess Tomato.
Yeah, this is the guy. Does he live in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that would make sense. He has all these really old Japanese specific computer systems.
Yeah, the
and
PC-88 or something.
Yeah, he's playing these games that like, Princess Tomato in Salad World or Salad Land. But there's like a different version for every type of Japanese PC that they made over there. Like there's like 10 different types of the same game, and they're all different in their own ways. Yeah, he makes very good videos too.
Yeah, and he does a great job of like showing you all like the stuff that came in the box and like how the discs worked, because like these were old floppy disks. And now I know when I was a kid I had experience with those floppy disks too, but it's kind of nostalgic just to see them again too.
Yeah, I don't believe I had any experience with the actual floppy disks. Mm-hmm. I ended up coming in and using when they turned hard into the like 3 1/4 ones.
Yeah, the little plastic ones.
Would you say he almost compares like a Japanese version, if you will, of LGR? Where he's going through the old computer stuff and talking about the games and showing like the whole manual system.
I guess he doesn't, as far as I've seen, he doesn't focus too much on the system itself, like the computers, more on the games. So like another one I watched recently was like the first Ys game. Because I've played like the modern version of Ys 1, but I never played the old version. It's like, let's see that. And yeah, he that's another really good channel, Basement Brothers, if you want to see like some old PC-88 games. And like he does a great job. And he's also one of those where he's like very chill. So like I can just put that down very low volume on the TV and just like curl up on the couch and like get in a sleepy mood. Sometimes I'll fall asleep during the videos and it's like, okay, I missed a bit at the end there, but like it just, I don't know. There's something about just falling asleep while watching something chill like that I like.
I mean, I've been kind of doing that to some degree with laying down to fall asleep, but putting on, whether it's video game music in a playlist meant to like fall asleep to, or listening to like, say, crickets, because those aren't going to appear until like July for us.
I think for me, the thing about these though is that like it's not just music, it's somebody talking, and like my mind is listening to whatever is being said and absorbing it. Whereas if I'm just listening to music, my mind will still be thinking about a bunch of random dumb shit.
I mean, that's fair. It's just like putting on something in order to fall asleep to it.
Yeah, I used to do that with podcasts, which is kind of where the idea of this podcast came. I would listen to like
The Empty Bowl.
The Empty Bowl is a good one. They are still one of the only good ones out there that I know of where they will make content like that, and it's just chill to listen to, and you don't have to worry about loud ads. But like, I really love the Stuff to Blow Your Mind guys, because they have such a chill demeanor too when they talk. But because they're part of a big podcast network, like they get ads that are really jarring sometimes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Like, I'll be listening to them talking about like, this weird little animal or potential stuff on Venus or whatever sciencey stuff they're talking about. And it's just like so chill, so like,
and then suddenly this ad at like twice the volume.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so bad. Another one of my favorites back in the day was a podcast literally called Bedtime Stories. I'm pretty sure. Bedtime Stories.
Oh, was those the weird? Sometimes I couldn't tell if the story was made up or not.
Yeah, he tells like horror stories.
Yeah, that was really good.
yeah, stories of like, oh, this weird thing that happened in this place, and he was really, really good. Like legit, I was so happy to have found his podcast. And then like one day he stopped making them. And I was like, well, there goes one of my favorite Sleepy Time podcasts. And eventually I found him on another feed, same name. It's like, oh, he is still making them. I guess he just changed feed. But unfortunately now he has ads in his podcast. And there's two type of ads when you listen to podcasts, right? There's the ones that the people are reading themselves and they can control the tone.
Yeah.
But then there's podcasts where like the network is like, okay, we're going to throw in a podcast for this and that. And it's like, they have no control over it. So like you'll be listening to him telling you these cool stories that are legit really fun to listen to and told in a way where it's not loud so you can like fall asleep to. But then like, hey, you want to buy something from Carvana or whatever, or fucking Carfax or whatever? It's like, I'm trying to sleep here.
Yeah.
So, wow, that was a tangent. All that to say, last night...
Oh my god.
Sorry, I got really off on a tangent there.
Poor you.
Back to Minecraft. Last night, YouTube, because I was watching the other one, had recommended me a bunch of others, horror Minecraft playthroughs. And a lot of them, again, are like, oh, I'm a loud YouTuber with my friends and we're shouting because we're scared. But last night I found one where it wasn't a guy shouting. It was just, in fact, nobody was talking. That he just did all the narration in text. But it felt, and I'm saying this with love and respect, it felt like a story that a middle school child made.
Oh.
Like, I saw the thumbnail and it was like Minecraft, I'll have to look at the exact title, but basically the gist of it was The Scary Walking Tree, right? And the vibes in it were good. It's like, old-timey Minecraft, it's a bit foggy, and it's like, oh, the player has found this swamp biome, and, oh, this area has a lot of pigs. The player decides to set up the house here, and he's going to make a pig pen. And the player feels like there's something weird out there, so he's going to go look to clear his mind, and found this weird patch of coarse dirt. And then, like, he's exploring more, oh, why is there a spruce tree in the swamp biome? That's weird. And this coarse dirt is like in a line away from this tree. Weird. And then like the next day he goes out there because he's just feeling odd about it, and the tree has moved slightly. You can see the trail of the coarse dirt. And again, it's silly, but it was made in a way where like it was perfect for me to get sleepy to. So I'm just watching it like kind of like chuckling to myself, but like it's just a good vibe because he had like this really good like creepy music in the background on a loop.
Now, are you trying to fall asleep, but you're having to like keep your head level so you can read this?
No, I didn't have to keep my head level. I could read it sideways.
Oh, okay.
So like the story continues. It's like, oh, the tree moved, and like where the tree was standing before, there's a diamond block. The player couldn't resist taking the diamond block. So he takes the diamond block, runs home, and like places it down somewhere.
The tree gonna eat him.
And the tree, like, yeah, he goes the next day to see, like, did the tree move again? And the tree did move again. It seems to be coming closer to his house. But then, like, where the diamond block was, there's all these stumps. It's clear that the tree was very mad that he took the diamond block. So, like, I'm going to spoil the story because who cares, right? The next day, like, he wakes up because he's all scared, like, oh no, this tree is moving and he's coming towards me. And like, the next day he wakes up and the tree is at the diamond block and oh no. And then he tries to run inside the house and the tree like stops him and kills him. And then you see, like, I forget what his screen name was. It's so dumb. But the screen name was a silly name, like Mr. Farty Pants or something has died. Like, just the combination of Minecraft and this incredibly childish story. But somebody took their time to make this video, to edit it, to put in this spooky music. And it's just so charming. Like, I'm going to assume it's just some teenager who put this out there. And I'm sitting here as a 40-year-old ass man watching it at night. I'm not getting spooked, but it was a chill vibe and it was fun. And it, I think I was laughing too much to really get sleepy from it, but like it was still enjoyable. And it just made me think, like, it's so cool that some people, they have the drive to make something creative like that, even if it's silly, and just put it out on the internet. and like some random ass stranger like me
Is gonna find it one day
and watch it. And like I could walk by some fucking like 18, 16-year-old kid in the mall.
And that's Mr. Farty Pants.
Yeah, like, oh, this is the kid who just decided to put his little project out on the internet and like whatever. It's just cool. So like it reminded me too of like way back, it must have been 2013 or 2014. Early on in my freelance career, somebody hired me to make a Minecraft story. Do you remember this?
Yep, I think I do.
We were still using the really shitty laptop from Florida. And I would play as Steve, and I would have Deanna running around on the second account as the cameraman.
Yeah, taking pictures.
So I had to come up with a story. I wrote it, and we would play it out, act it out in Minecraft, and take screenshots of the action. And then I would take those screenshots and type up the story and basically make like a children's book out of it. I don't remember how much I got paid to do this. Probably not a whole lot, depending on your view, but I think I was charging like $25 an hour back then, so I probably ended up like $1,000 to do this silly ass Minecraft project. I don't know.
Did you ever see how much it sold on Amazon?
Yeah, I had found it on Amazon, and some of the reviews were bad, and some of the reviews were good, because like they were just kids. Like, this was a fun story, and it was like Steve goes to like was it the Pig King or the Skeleton King? Oh yeah, it was the Skeleton King, and he was trying to save his pig friend, I think.
I don't remember.
It was just, again, a really dumb, silly Minecraft story targeted towards children. And somebody paid me to like write it, create it. I gave him all the image files, and he just like sold it on Amazon, I guess. Could I have made more money if I just sold it myself? Maybe, but like I also made some rent money with it, so whatever. And I never would have thought like that's a thing that people did. After doing that, I thought maybe I should make my own, but I never did myself, so whatever. That was the only time I did it, but there's a lot of people out there making their own little silly stories in Minecraft, and that's kind of cool. And like, okay, this kid put his story about the walking scary tree on YouTube, and I watched it hoping to fall asleep to it. And while it had really good vibes, I probably could have fallen asleep to it if the story wasn't so, I don't know, hilariously bad. God, I feel bad saying that, but yeah. I don't know. That was fun. So just another example of like people using Minecraft or video games in general to like create a story and just like be creative and just throw it out there on the internet, because fuck it, why not?
Yeah, I know like this isn't connected to video games technically, but there are plenty of people making YouTube videos and saying like, just put out any of the art that you make and just put it out there. Yeah. Someone somewhere, if they happen to come across it, will like it, regardless of what type of art it is.
That's one of the things that got me started with doing the Hey You Peekaboo comics. So, I mean, if you guys haven't seen it on Blue Sky or Tumblr or whatever, Hey You Peekaboo, which is a play on Hey You Pikachu. Because I thought it would be funny if, like...
But Peekaboo is a millennial.
Yeah, instead of, like, being the cheerful, happy Pokemon mascot Pikachu, it's just Peekaboo who's a Meryl. And he's just, like... sad.
Sad, depressed, suicidal,
sometimes,
you know.
Sometimes sad, sometimes positive. Just like, I was kind of using it as like an outlet to just like, what am I feeling today? Let me make a comic about it, except it's Peekaboo. And like, the reason I wanted to do that was because I didn't watch this video on YouTube, but there was a thumbnail. Maybe you've seen it too. I think the thumbnail said something along the lines of like, post bad art.
Oh, yeah. That might be a video. I don't think I've watched it, but maybe I should. But I think I've seen that.
Even just seeing that thumbnail kind of like struck something in me. Like, yeah, I should post bad art. Because like, it's so easy to get hung up on like, I'm going to do my GameRomp comics and I have to draw Bowser looking like Bowser. And I got to look at references and they have to be recognizable. It has to be good. Hey You Peekaboo to me is an exercise to force myself to not do that. To just draw dumb shit and be okay with it and post it anyways. Again,
vaguely connected, but I have to work. When I try to work on my art, which right now I'm going with soft pastels, I have to work on trying not to do all the details that I see in a picture.
Yeah.
And for reasons unknown to me, I find it incredibly hard not to.
Mm.
And it's so frustrating because I have this idea of, okay, I'm just going to put down the basic colors and the basic shapes, and it's going to be a nice kind of like abstract version of whatever art I'm working from. And then I add details and I'm like, oh shit, I fucked it up. And it's so hard to unlearn that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for me, the one thing that I try to keep in mind is like remembering the feelings I feel when I see other people's art, their quick art especially. Like when they do a quick little comic, it can just be cute and messy, and I'm not going to get hung up on like, oh, look how fucked up this hand looks, or why does that eye look that way? People, when they see our stuff, most of the time they'll look at it for like 5 seconds at most.
Yeah.
They'll absorb it, laugh, and move on. At least for comic and cartoon work, like that's the thing. Like I gotta try to get myself to be okay with like, they're not gonna look that hard. Peekaboo doesn't have to be a perfect circle. His ears can be different shapes each time. His body is like, sometimes his mouth is up here, sometimes his like belly is too big. Like it doesn't matter. And that's like kind of the exercise with that. And it's been okay. Like it's not like a huge comic or anything. I think it doesn't even have 100 followers, but it doesn't have more followers than my main account does. So yeah, that Minecraft kid who made the tree, the scary walking tree or whatever the hell it's called. Again, we'll put the link in the description. Good on you, man. Good on whoever that kid was, or maybe he's not even a kid. Maybe he's like a 20-year-old something. I don't know. Whatever the case.
You did good. You
put a story out there that was fun. Maybe you even realized it wasn't like the deepest thing. It's just like, whatever. It is what it is. And like, I think anyone who's creative has to like learn to push through that feeling of being a perfectionist. Because God, that is such a trap that I know I have fallen into so bad too.
Yeah, same here.
Anyway, this is getting far away from video games. This was tangentially related because of Minecraft. But yeah, I think that's good. I need my voice to have a little break.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, whether it was the parts where we actually talked about video games or the parts where we talked about being creative and just putting out there anything that you make, because someone out there may also like it. And even if no one does, you still made it. And that's still good. So we'll see you next week. We love you. And goodbye.
Bye-bye.